Yeah.
We're live on
All right. Gotta stop it right there. Gotta say welcome to, of course, what we call Link Up Radio. Oh my God, man. And ladies and gentlemen, what a day, what a day, what a day it has been so far. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to, of course, 93.5 WVIP again. I am here, and it's about that time to do what's called Cruising with a Case Handler, show on personal injury and immigration. And I don't know what to say. This day is a different day. Nelson Madrid, welcome to the show. How are you, man?
Good morning. I am well. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. It seems like everyone's late this morning. Let me guess. They got in late due to the snowstorm?
I don't know. But I was actually expecting a text from Conrad last night saying it may not be that serious. The office will be opening. I expect everyone in on time.
I was too, I said, you know what? Let me prep. Let me get everything started, the whole 9 yards. But here we are on the first real snowfall of the season, and it is truly a storm. It is truly a storm. Ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome each and every one of you and also our attorneys so far on the panel of the show called Cruising with a Case Handler, once again, personal injury and immigration, brought to you by the law firm of Pollock, Isaac, and DeSico. We already have one of the partners, Nelson Madrid. You heard him speaking. We call him the Maverick. And we also have, of course, Conrad Pollock, the managing partner. He's on the show. And once again, gentlemen, what's your comment on the storm before we jump right into business here? How y'all feeling? Ready to go skiing? Ready to go outside, build some snowmen? What? Our snow woman? What's going on?
It's interesting. I mean, I'm a big skier, and we live in New York. And I was thinking of just taking a day, grabbing my daughter, and going skiing in Massachusetts, which is it's the closest nice big mountain,
Right.
and you have to fill out all kinds of travel advisory forms for COVID. You have to either quarantine for 14 days. Or have test results within 3 days, negative test results within 3 days. And I called him, I said, where are you getting tested? If you get tested today, how in the world are you getting a test result in 3 days? There's no chance. I mean, I've just recently been tested this week. It's 5 to 7 days, So they said, basically, if you don't have a negative test result, you have to quarantine until you do. And it's like, then how are you guys going to stay in business? Because most of you people, I assume, because the mountain is right over the New York border. I mean, how are you going to stay in business if no other people from out of state from Massachusetts can come here unless they quarantine for 14 days or have a negative test result in the last 3 days? It's impossible. Basically, it's going to put them out of business.
Crazy. Yeah, that is crazy.
I was shocked when they told me that. I said, I can't come then. So I have been tested recently, and I got a negative result, but it was like 4 days ago or 5 days ago.
Exactly. Yeah, I got mine last Saturday too. Yeah, unbelievable. Anyway, here we are. Show must go on. All right. And Nelson, you good to go?
I'm good to go. While Conrad is on that topic, it's actually interesting. We have a citizenship interview coming up in Vermont. Mm-hmm. And I started looking at the travel restrictions, right? Because
that's a good point. That's a problem.
Yeah. Obviously I'm going to have to plan on taking a test a few days before I head out there.
What exactly are the travel restrictions now?
So I think
Massachusetts, as I said, this is the Massachusetts law, not just for skiing.
Right.
You have to have a negative test result from a test taken within the previous 72 hours before you arrive, or you have to quarantine in the state for 14 days, or you have to, if you took the test and don't have a result yet, you have to quarantine until you get the negative result. Those are the options.
And how are they tracking this?
It's honor system.
Okay.
And I mean, there are exemptions if you're a
right.
One of what do you call the essential workers,
right.
or if there are a couple. If you're from a low risk state, which
mm-hmm.
there are none, because every state is now a non low risk state. So it's tough.
No.
Vermont has had these rules in place longer than any other state in the country, longer than Massachusetts. So it might even be worse.
When I went to when I went to Maine this summer, basically on the Maine, I guess, tourist website or whatever, they said basically that if you did not have the negative result in hand, they did not have to give you that hotel room that you had rented. So, obviously a lot of people are taking this very serious, which, I think you should. But obviously there's just a lot of kinks that need to be worked out, and you need to, getting back to Vermont. So I looked up the travel restriction yesterday, and it's pretty much what Conrad said. You need a negative test result 3 days before you arrive, or you quarantine. Now that's the rule today, right? This interview is scheduled for sometime in January. I don't know if that's going to change. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it appears New York is about to completely shut down again.
That's right.
Vermont has been pretty consistent. From day one, Vermont has been the state with the toughest rules in place since this all began in March. And I know because I have friends that actually went up there this past summer from Jersey, and they got turned away. The hotel would not let them stay there. They would not rent them a room. This was up in Burlington, where the interview is, Nelson. And they actually had to get back on their motorcycles, take a ferry across Lake Champlain to New York to get a hotel room, because they couldn't get a hotel room anywhere in Vermont. Wow. That's a true story.
It's very, very serious. How does this affect everything that's going on with immigration? I mean, you spoke about that interview situation, but how is everything? I mean, what is Homeland Security saying? What are we going to be doing now?
So it's actually, I was at the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services about 2 weeks ago on an interview, and actually the officer told me that she's surprised they have not yet shut down.
Right.
So I imagine, that obviously at some point they're planning to shut down. They have, the way it's changed is previously, prior to the pandemic, you could have anywhere from 100 people sitting in a room, waiting to be called. Now there's a limited number of people. They have tape around certain seats. So they've made it a point to obviously just keep distance amongst the people that are there. Also, for 26 Federal Plaza, which is the local field office, I believe they do not let you into the building if you get there, I think, more than half an hour or 15 minutes before the interview. So if your interview's at 10 o'clock, you can't get there at 9 o'clock and go to the cafeteria and wait for your attorney the way many people used to do. Now they just won't let you into the building, and you see people waiting outside until it's closer to the time to be allowed into the building. Also, as far as citizenship is concerned, before the pandemic, the oath ceremony, they would have anywhere from 50 to 75 people doing their oath ceremony simultaneously. Now, as a result of the pandemic, they are limiting the number of people actually taking their oath ceremony. So once you pass your citizenship interview, you're basically put into a queue and eventually scheduled for a citizenship interview. It's taking obviously a little longer than it did before.
Interesting. Once again, folks, this is Cruising with a Case Handler. Evidently, Mr. Adam Handler, who runs the personal injury side, is out today. Is that it, gentlemen?
Well, clearly that's why there's been so much dead airspace here for the last 15 minutes. No, it's not. There's no case handler choking up all the airspace.
All the airspace. Oh man, unbelievable. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you the phone number. I just wanted to remind everyone that the free immigration phone consultations will end at the end of the year. So if you're tuning into 93.5 WVIP FM right now and you're listening to the attorneys, Nelson Madrid and Conrad Pollock, you need to actually call the law firm right now and schedule that phone interview with one of the attorneys. Take advantage of it now. The number, once again, is, ladies and gentlemen, 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. 844-774-3529. Make the link, make the call. Now, gentlemen.
Actually, I just got
Yeah.
a text from the case handler. I'm out on the corner of Route 19 in Piscataway waiting for car accidents to happen. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Adam is going to kill you, man.
You know, if you can't tease and kid your partners, I mean, really,
I know.
You know?
Definitely. So I know he's listening though. Anyway, once again, anyone speaking about accidents, if anyone do get into accidents, you need to call Adam Handler. All right, so make the call, 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. Can someone talk to me or expound a little bit more on DACA? We need to talk about that and reiterate that again, because that's extremely important, seeing that we had some changes recently.
Well, the most recent change, which was brought about by a court order, because the Trump administration, they've been trying to get rid of DACA for years now. And the Supreme Court basically shot them down over the summer. The Supreme Court said, no, you can't shut it down, reopen it, let people apply. And of course, the Trump administration, believing they don't have to answer to anybody, including the Supreme Court, said, okay, we'll open it, but we're going to reduce the period of time that it's valid from 2 years to 1 year. And we're not going to let any new applicants apply, which was in direct contravention with the Supreme Court order. So we went back to court. And recently, a week or two ago, a federal judge came down and slammed them again and said, no, you need to comply with the Supreme Court order and open it entirely, which they have now done. So basically, the period of validity is now once again 2 years. So if you apply for an extension or apply for the first time, the period of validity is for 2 years. You get work authorization for 2 years. And if you've never applied before, which most people have already put their applications in, some haven't for whatever reason, they can now apply as well if they never did it before. Also, travel. DACA applicants were stopped from applying. Again, the Trump administration stopped them from applying for what's called advanced parole travel authorization. So a lot of these kids that haven't been back to their countries in 15, 20, 30 years, whatever it is, now or originally were able to get travel authorization and go home and visit their families. The Trump administration, again, in their wisdom, stopped it for whatever reason. Right? There was no reason, just to be nasty. Anyway, they have now been forced to reopen that program, so DACA applicants can apply for travel authorization. And although I don't know how many people are traveling right now, but that is possible. One thing that's important about that is, DACA does not allow you to get a green card. DACA allows you to stay in the country, get permission to work. Right. And it's an executive order. It's not law. It's not legislation. So basically, Biden is going to go along with it. He's going to try to make it into law, but who knows if that'll happen. So, but DACA basically right now is good for the next 4 years. All right, that's a surety. Now, one thing about DACA that's interesting, that any knowledgeable immigration lawyer will tell you and will know about this. You can get married to a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident and apply for your green card, like a lot of people do. But if you're on DACA, normally the DACA applicants came illegally. They crossed the border or whatever. They didn't come with a visa. If that person, even if they have DACA, if that person gets married, they cannot adjust their status. In order to adjust status, in order to get the green card in the United States, which is what adjustment of status is, in order for them to adjust status, they have to demonstrate they entered the country legally with a visa. If you cross the border, if you swam across the Rio Grande to get into the United States and then got DACA, that's great. You can stay, get permission to work, so on. But if you get married, or if you have a parent or whatever that applies for you to get your green card, you have to go back to your country to get your green card. You cannot get it in the United States. And in that circumstance as well, if you have to leave the country, you need a waiver in order to come back. It's complicated. It's expensive, complicated, and takes time. The process I'm talking about now could take a couple of years. DACA applicants, however, have a special privilege, let's call it. If they travel, if they get that travel authorization, they leave the country and they come back, they're paroled in. Once they are paroled in, that is like a visa because they've now been inspected, they've now been seen on their reentry into the United States. They now have what is, for all intents and purposes, a visa. And now that person, if they're married to a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, they can apply to adjust status. That's something that other people don't have. DACA applicants have this ability to travel. Most people don't, if they're here illegally, they don't have an ability to get advanced parole and get that parole to come back in. DACA applicants do. So to sum up here, if you have DACA and you have a close relative, like a U.S. citizen spouse, for instance, or a U.S. citizen child who's over 21, well, that's unlikely. But if you have a spouse who's a U.S. citizen, you can get married. If you aren't already married, you can get married and apply for adjustment of status. If you have gotten that parole, travel outside the country, come back in, you can apply for adjustment of status. You do not have to leave the country to get your green card. That's major. And Nelson, you know, we've done that for several people before the Trump administration changed the rules on travel.
Okay. Once again, folks, we're speaking on DACA. One more thing before you finish up there, Conrad. What's the deal with this Muslim ban and all of that stuff? And that's going on. What do you think's going to happen now?
Well, here's the deal. All of these bans they have to be renewed. I don't remember the exact timing of the Muslim ban. Biden has already said that's going to go away. What's going to happen, though, is with all of these bans, the relevant date is December 31st. That is when they expire. Prevailing wisdom says that the Trump administration is going to extend all of these bans, thereby forcing the Biden administration to actually terminate them, basically to force them into a, possibly negative political situation by terminating those bans. For instance, the travel ban that affects most of the listeners here, that, you can't get your green card in most situations because there's a ban on all international travel and so on. That ban expires on December 31st, and unless it's renewed by Trump, it's over. Trump is going to renew it. My guess is Trump is going to renew it and force Biden to make a decision there. And of course, the decision would be, well, if Biden terminates that ban, that means he's potentially allowing people to come in with their green cards that might have COVID. So of course, that's going to be all over Fox News.
Oh, boy.
And OAN and Newsmax and all of these other outlets. So that's why unfortunately, Trump will probably extend the travel ban, but it'll expire. All right. So I don't remember. I think it's a 6-month deal. But let's see how long he extends. I'm sure he'll try to extend it for as long as he possibly can.
Okay. Well, yep. Once again, folks, you're listening to, of course, The Voice. Conrad Pollock, the managing partner of the firm Pollock, Isaac, and DeSico, referred to as PPID. We've got also Nelson Madrid. And we're talking immigration this morning, seeing that Conrad has beaten up on the personal injury side with the guy by the name of Adam Adler. We're just joking around, Adam. By the way, he's truly one of the greatest, personal injury attorneys that we have in this side of the country. So we got to say thanks to him for what it is that he has done. He's approaching $130 million in settlement for accident cases. So we got to say congratulations to him. Congratulations to his team. Congratulations to the firm. Make sure you call them for immigration and personal injury, respectively. The number is 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. 844-774-3529. It's a very snowy day. Very stormy day, and it's still snowing. Supposed to snow up until 1 p.m. today. I think I'll go out and do a couple of snow rides and slides and all of that. Feel like the good old days when Christmas had snow and all of that. That's what I think I'll do today. All right, let's get to some immigration questions here. It says here, I just read somewhere that the ban is going to be extended for another 6 months. Is this true? And if that happens, what would it mean for persons still waiting? Here we go.
Well, I think
I just said that.
Yeah. Here we go.
But yeah, I mean, look, I think it is going to be extended. We won't know for another 2 weeks, but just based on this administration and their practice of not missing a beat when they can turn the screws on immigration and immigrants in general. Mm-hmm. I'd be surprised if Trump did not extend the travel ban. But again, Biden may terminate it. He might just say, you know what, it's wrong. It's unfair, and he might just terminate it. So at the very least, though, if it's extended an additional 6 months, it will expire in June. That's for sure. And
Wait,
those people that are waiting will have to continue to wait.
Listen, I don't want to get you started, Conrad, but I thought this election is not over. I thought there's still a possibility that Trump can be the president of the United States.
Everybody is being very cynical today. Not gonna happen, man. Trump, it's time to go. All right. It's just
done.
time to go.
It's done. It's a done deal.
Bye.
It's
Goodbye.
final.
Yeah.
I mean, he keeps raising money, obviously, to line his pockets. But this is done. I mean, this is really done. This is over.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, if you want to tune in after the top of the hour, I think I'm going to ask these gentlemen a couple of questions in reference to Mr. 45. All right, let's go to another question here. Once again, we're speaking immigration. That's what it's all about. And on a serious note, everybody, if you have immigration questions, do yourself a favor. Call the firm. Get a free phone consultation right now. But even more importantly, just hire them. Let them deal with all the complexities and all this, the intricacies and all of that stuff. Just, I've realized a long time ago, just pay the professionals to do what they do best. Don't screw around. In the long run, you always lose more. All right. It says here, I had my first appointment visa, F2A, in April 21st, 2020. And at 8 a.m. and due to the international conditions of the disease, coronavirus, the deadline has been canceled and I don't have any other appointment right now. What can I do?
Contact the consulate post wherever you are and see what's going on. If they're open, if they're processing, it's a common situation. They might just, when they do reopen, if they haven't already, they might just contact, I'm sure they'll go through their cases and reach out to everyone that they canceled, but reach out to the consulate.
Okay. And that number, once again, ladies and gentlemen, for the firm is 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. If you'd like to hire, of course, the attorneys to handle your case. Let's get to another question here. It says here, I am a Canadian and my husband is sponsoring me under the F2A. We have one child. Do you know how long I have to wait and where to check the visa bulletin? I only see China, Philippines, India, Vietnam in the visa bulletin, but I can't find Canada.
There is no specific listing for Canada. Canada is under the worldwide category, which is the first column on that visa bulletin, again, they don't list every country in the world. The ones that are listed are the ones that are really backlogged. So that's a good.
The column that applies to her is all chargeability areas except those listed. Right. That is her column. That is the column she needs to look at. Okay. And F2A is the spouse or children of permanent residents. So this person her spouse is a permanent resident, not a U.S. citizen. So it falls into a preference category.
Yeah, normally cases like that take a couple of years, but the F2A category is current at the moment. I haven't looked at the latest bulletin, which should be coming out very soon for January, but it's current, which means it's happening quickly. So they should be able to process their case pretty quickly.
But that also, just for the record and for those listening, F2A, that can change from month to month. While it's current now, it may not be current next month. And that's the difference between being married to a citizen where there's a visa immediately available to you and being married to a permanent resident where it's really a month to month. So while it's current now, and it could be current in January, it may not be current in February. And that's why you have to follow the visa bulletin.
Okay. 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. I have a question. I got a call yesterday on my cell because my cell just happens to be all over the internet. And a lady in Jamaica wants to adopt twins, okay, because their parents died, unfortunately, in a very violent situation. All right. And they're asking me. So I gave them the firm's number to call. As a matter of fact, they said they were having issues calling the 844 number. So I gave them a direct number that I saw on the website. She wants to know, how does she, by the way, she's a United States citizen. She was in Jamaica dealing with the situation of the aftermath and all of that. and she's coming back to the United States. She wants to know how she can actually adopt those kids, how she can bring those kids back to the United States with her. I did tell her that I would talk about it on the show, and she said, okay, she'd be listening, but she also said that she would reach out. But let's hear what you attorneys have to say about that. Is there anything she can do in that situation?
I think so. The adoption would have to take place in Jamaica. Also, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the adoption would have to happen before the children turn, I think, 16, right, Conrad?
Well, if she's a U.S. citizen and the kids are, everybody's in Jamaica, I think they could do it under the orphan. Yes, that's an option, but they could do it under the orphan provision.
Right.
601A, they have to go through the authorities in Jamaica and have the actual adoption done down there. She could do, as a U.S. citizen, though, they could do an orphan petition. I think the form is the 601A. No, not 612A or one of those forms. Nelson N600 or one of those.
I think it's an N600.
Yeah, it's one of those forms, but she does an orphan petition through the U.S. consulate in Jamaica. It's something that most of the process has to be done through the locals down in Jamaica. They have to go through an adoption agency down there, or if the kids are, I don't know where the kids are, but they have to do a home study and all the various things that are required as part of the adoption process.
Yeah. Look, the long and short of it is, it's obviously somewhat complicated.
Very
it's not something that we can get into in 2 minutes on the radio.
Right. That's what I told her. I said, listen, I know this question when I put it to them. I said that's exactly the answer I was going to get from you guys.
You know, it's similar to when we're speaking about an N600. It's similar to derivative citizenship. You know, I mean, there's not a black and white answer. Everything is fact driven. You know, when did the person's parents naturalize? How old was the child at the time the person's parents naturalized? Did the parents, were the parents legally separated? Did someone have a legal custody order over the child? I mean, there's just, what was the law at the time? There's a lot of information that is required. And it's not something personally I feel comfortable answering in 1 or 2 minutes. In fact, we had the situation yesterday, I think, where someone posted questions, on our website or on our page. I am reluctant to answer questions like that because I don't want it to be construed as legal advice. Right. I can't give you advice when you've given me limited facts. I need to know.
You need all the information. Yeah,
That's
it
right.
makes sense.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why we say here, what you're listening on the radio is not legal advice. All right. And we've repeated that and said that and disclaimed that several times right here. Never, ever take what it is that you're hearing from any of us or the attorneys as legal advice. It's
general information.
It's general information. You need to actually get on a private, confidential consultation with the attorney and get that taken care of. And speaking of consultation, ladies and gentlemen, listen, it's simple. Just call them, hire them, work it out with them, I don't know about their payment plans or whatever it is, but I can tell you honestly, from what I've seen throughout the entire year, it's better to just hire them, work that out. Don't do it yourself. The number is 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. And there's something I wanted to speak with you, Nelson, and Conrad about also in respect to Jamaica. And I've been getting a lot of calls on this also. And we have done quite a bit of events with, entertainers performing in the United States, a lot. And now I'm getting calls again because everyone is looking forward to 2021. But we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for listening on 93.5. I'm asking you to go to my Facebook page, David Squeezaniki, or PPID's page. Just put that in, Pollock, Isaac, and the C Quarter, Case Handler page, and continue listening to us. Yeah, we got 9 seconds left. So once again, go to Facebook, put in David Squeezaniki, put in Link Up Radio, put in PPID or the Case Handler. Thank you so much for listening. 844-774-3529. All right. So, gentlemen, I'm getting a lot of call about performing in the United States from a lot of entertainers who wants to come to the United States. One, they want to know if those visas, they can still get those visas. I guess those are the P1, P3s,
Yes.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
And if you can help them
Well,
also,
P3s are for cultural organizations, but yeah,
right?
one of them.
We got people who are dancers, and we have people who are artists, like reggae artists. And because we have done so much reggae shows in the past, and also people know that we play reggae music on the station, they're now asking, Squeeze, I hear you on the attorneys on the radio again. Can they handle my visa? You know, and some of them are dancing groups, performers who actually dance, and some of them are artists. So these are still visas that people can go out and apply for now, right?
Absolutely, but obviously because of COVID and the travel situation, there's not a lot of demand for that type of thing right now. Considering
Right.
there's really no place where they can
Right,
perform.
exactly. Right. That's what I was
But-
telling them.
But now that the vaccine is being rolled out, I would
That's the
say
reason why everybody's yep.
spring, summer. Yeah, I think
Yes.
maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but I think by the summer, yeah, we might be back to some semblance of normalcy, and those types of visas will become more in demand like they used to be, and bands and singers and dancers, hopefully will start coming back to the U.S. Again, I hate to keep beating the dead horse here, but the Trump administration, I don't get the feeling that a lot of the personnel in the Trump administration were big reggae fans, if you know what I mean.
No, they're not.
On the other hand, my guess is the Biden administration, they probably will have some personnel there that do like reggae, that do appreciate other, let's call it multiculturalism.
Yes, that's it. That's
So
exactly what
I think there'll be a lot more of a welcome mat put out for entertainers like that going forward, as opposed to what we've seen over the previous 3 years,
definitely
4 years.
right. Yeah, there's going to be a surge of Caribbean events, I can tell you, in the summer, and that's the reason why everybody now is like reaching. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So
Yeah, we're on. It's I think 2021 summer, maybe the fall, but I think we're. Look, I mean, if from my own perspective, everybody gets the vaccine. We don't have to worry about getting too close to each other again. I mean, people are going to go crazy.
Yep.
It's gonna, it's gonna be like Party City, right?
Oh,
like
it
the
is
like the 60s.
Yeah, no, next year is going to be like the 60s.
Free love.
It's going to be like Woodstock.
People go crazy,
It'll be definitely going to be like Woodstock. Once again, folks, we're here talking about potentially what's going to happen with immigration next year. The number is 844-774-3529. One more question before we go.
Oh, wait, Squeeze, before you change the subject, those people, they really should start thinking. People should start beginning their plans. Get into the planning stages. Look, we don't know what the timing is going to be, but again, 6 months from now, 8 months from now, my guess is most of the people in this country will have been inoculated by then, and things are going to change and hopefully return to a good amount of normalcy, what we used to experience, and things like this, cultural events and parties and weddings and all that stuff, that has been on hold for this past year, are going to start happening again. So people should start planning. I know we are at the firm. We're anticipating 2021, 22, even more so. Will be good years and a lot of good stuff happening, and so now's the time to start getting ready and just at least formulating the ideas going forward. What's going to be.
And there's research and legwork on it, because they're going to have to research their past performances to provide proof of that and all of that stuff, which you guys will actually assist them with, I am sure. Once again, folks, speaking about specific visas for people who wants to come to the United States to perform and so forth, 844-774-3529. And one more question. People who were deported, Mr. Maverick, or marijuana convictions. Now that, this has been decriminalized, a lot of questions are popping up. Can we go retroactive in helping these people? That question has been popping up a lot, for folks that have been deported because of marijuana convictions.
Right. So that's actually a very good question. And it's still something gray because obviously this is all so new. However, let's talk about marijuana convictions, right? There is a big difference between possession of marijuana and possession with intent to sell,
right.
right? It's more likely than not than someone, the reality of it is if all you had was a simple possession, something went wrong. And I say this to everyone, not every attorney is the same. Not every attorney thinks the same. Not every attorney strategizes the same. Some attorneys see more of the same, or, the joke I have is I've seen that movie before. Some attorneys really don't have experience doing these type of cases, right? So to start with, something that I like to do is I like to get the history. I like to get a copy of the person's immigration file, find out what happened, find out what the conviction was for. Did they try to fight the case? Did they just sign a removal order? Sometimes the certificate of disposition is not enough. Why? You can possess up to 30 grams of marijuana for personal consumption, and technically it not be an issue. You may have been eligible for a waiver. Did your attorney file a waiver? Did he support that waiver with good evidence? Was it a slipshod waiver? Was it just a waiver? Was no evidence filed in connection with that waiver? Were you arrested for conspiracy to distribute? I have a client right now who wanted to file for citizenship. He did this on his own, went to the interview, and all of a sudden they asked him for additional documents, right? Client tells me that the case went from North Carolina to the Southern District of New York. Long story short, we started digging and we found that it was 25 pounds of marijuana in South Carolina, and the conviction is in South Carolina. That's a huge problem. And this could be one of the reasons why immigration is asking him for additional documents. Now, again, had this person come to me from the very beginning, I probably would have advised against applying for citizenship. But this person decided to do it on their own. So now he's put himself on the radar. And as I explained to him, immigration probably knows this. Immigration is the federal government. And the reason they're asking you for more documents is because they want you to basically incriminate yourself, So anytime somebody's been deported or anytime someone has been convicted of certain crimes, again, I like to look at the history. I like to see what's happened before. We say this on the show all the time. I like to sleep at night. I'm going to be brutally honest with the response or the answer I give you. I may tell you, look, it's not really worth it. It's a long shot. You're going to lose. But ultimately, it's up to you. If you tell me, look, I want to roll the dice. I want to go forward. Let's do the best we can. We will do the best we can. I mean, I'm not going to throw in the towel or just roll over and play dead. But I like to give my clients realistic expectations on, the possibility of the outcome that they desire. And I think that's important. But, typically in cases like that, like I said, also how many times was the person arrested? Were they only arrested once? Do they have multiple arrests? Yeah. If they were a green card holder, how much after receiving his green card was he actually caught? Was it within the first 5 years? What was the sentence? There's just, again, and we talk about this all the time, and I don't mean to be long-winded. I just have a couple of minutes of airtime where I could talk and not hear Conrad or Adam. It's especially with these criminal cases, there are a lot of questions. Very quickly, if I can, I represented a Jamaican, someone from Jamaica, several years ago. And he told me he was caught with a small quantity of marijuana coming in from Jamaica, stopped at the airport, and returned, right? So he's married to a citizen. It happened many years ago. My advice to him was, well, let's get a copy of those records and find out exactly what happened. Oh, there's no record. I said, you think there are no records.
Right, exactly.
Let me do some homework and let me see what they have. Long story short, it was about a pound. He had it in the heels of his shoe. He signed a sworn statement basically acknowledging the quantity and the substance of the drug that he was bringing into the United States. And he was expeditiously removed, which meant he was literally order deported from the airport and returned to Jamaica. He was in shock, right? When I pulled out his sworn statement from 20 years ago, he was like, oh my God, they still have that? Yeah, they're not going to get rid of that. Right. Of course they have it. And his signature was on there, and it was a sworn statement, and there was documents. And, look, I told him, I said, you're not eligible.
Right.
And Squeeze, you've called me. You've called me.
I have, yeah.
On multiple occasions and said, listen, I got a friend. Can you speak to him? And I'll ask for some documents. And as soon as I see the documents, I've been doing this long enough that if I have certain documents, I know.
You can tell, right? That they're wasting their time.
That's energy, right. And I'm not going to spend your money.
From people. Right.
That's right. Or waste your time or waste my time. I'm not in the business of selling dreams. Either we can help you or we can't.
Unlike many others out there. Once again, folks, this is Cruising with a Case Handler, Immigration, Personal Injury. Call the firm. Once again, it's a full service law firm, 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. Conrad, one for you. Hopefully, seeing that you are an avid Fox News watcher, do you think Trump is going to go to jail?
Are you asking for my hopes, or are you asking for? Unfortunately, well, I shouldn't even say that. I doubt that he will go to jail. My expectation, optimistic expectation, is that he's going to be so busy defending himself against lawsuits that he's not going to have time to think about running in 2024. That the government, New York, I don't know the feds, but I think New York State in particular, they're going to beat him down because they hate him. Look, they've got cases against him, and they've got apparently solid cases against him, but they also dislike him intensely. So they're going to beat him down as much as they can from a legal standpoint. And he's going to be very busy. Whether or not he's going to go to jail, I doubt it. I just don't see it. And all indications from the Biden administration, Biden wants to move on. He wants to put this sordid chapter behind him, behind us. So my guess is it's going to be similar to back in the 70s when Ford pardoned Nixon. I don't think there's going to be any pardons here from Biden, because Trump is going to issue all the
pardons. Right.
He's going to issue all the pardons that he can before he leaves. In fact, I had somebody propose this possibility that the day before, January 19th, right, the day before he's set to be gone, that he steps down and lets Pence take over for one day as president, so Pence can pardon him and his family.
Very interesting.
Yeah, which it is very interesting. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I put nothing past these guys.
An art of war move.
But look, let's just hopefully he's going to be so preoccupied defending himself against all of these lawsuits that he's just going to be too busy to be tweeting all the time and on TV and on Fox News and Newsman. The guys just go away. Just go away already.
Let me ask you, Conrad, question. Can you pardon someone when they haven't even been charged with a crime?
Evidently, that's what's going on.
It's a good question. To issue just a blanket get out of jail free card.
Right.
That's basically what we're talking about. There are differing legal arguments on both sides. My feeling is no, that you cannot issue a pardon for an event or a crime that hasn't taken place yet.
Right.
And I believe that will hold up. Whether or not that becomes an issue, we'll find out soon enough. My guess is because he's going to issue pardons to all of his family and Kushner and all these others that haven't even been charged yet. So we'll find out. But I am hopeful that you can't do that. I'm also hopeful that the Biden administration, they initiate as many changes that become law as possible to prevent future presidents from playing these games and taking advantage and letting their friends off the hook. And it's disgusting and it's despicable and it shouldn't happen in this country. And hopefully there'll be changes that will prevent that from happening in the future. Whether it's Democrat or Republican, none of them should be able to do that. Biden included, none of them should be able to do it. Clinton did years ago. He pardoned that financier,
Rich.
right? That stuff just shouldn't happen. And of course, the Republicans are saying, "Well, look, Clinton did it 20 years ago, so why can't we do it?" And so it's just they need to put an end and stop that stuff. And there needs to be a limit. Again, it's the pardon power of the president is in the Constitution, but that doesn't mean that it can't be regulated. That doesn't mean Congress can't issue different laws which allow the pardons to be issued under certain circumstances, or with limitations. That if it's your lawyer who's in jail, for defending you and for putting all your deals together, you can't just pardon the guy.
Right.
I mean, it's a little unseemly, just a little.
Yep. Very interesting. Extremely interesting here. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, the show, Cruising with a Case. And I want to say thanks to you, Nelson. I want to say thanks to you, Conrad, for being here on a snowy day. And the sun is coming out now, so that's great. And I want to say thanks to everyone watching us on Facebook. Also, thanks to those who watched us listen to us on 93.5 WVIP. Tomorrow will be a brighter day, more sunny day. Get back to some normalcy as far as weather is concerned. But thanks to each and everyone for tuning in. Do remember to call 844-774-3529 to book your appointments. All right, 844-774-3529. Get it in there. Get it now. Get it done now. Have the attorneys handle your case. 844-774-3529. Thank you, gentlemen. Have yourself an amazing, wonderful, snowy day. Unfortunately, no skiing. All right. Take care, guys.